everyone, and welcome to my channel, Sarah and Stitches. Today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial for this Moony Toast inspired bag. If a written tutorial is something you'd like, there will be a link to my Ravelry below, and I have a written tutorial, or written pattern posted on there. This is my very first tutorial, so if I skip over something or go through something too fast and you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and I'll be around to answer any questions, but let's get into it. Okay, to start off this bag, we're going to begin on the bread section, which is the squares on either side of the back. So you're going to have to make two of these exactly the same. For mine, I'm using Loops and Threads Impeccable in the color Heather. Show you how to start that now. I'm going to begin with a slip stitch. This is how I make mine. Over 2 fingers, and then I take the shorter one and then the longer one, and there's a pretty easy slip stitch for you guys. Once I've done that, I'm going to put it on my hook. I'm going to chain 4. Then you're going to slip stitch back into this very first chain that you made. And then I'm going to hold my tail as I go around so I can crochet on top of it to tuck it in. And then we're going to chain 3, which will count as one of your double crochets as we go through the rest of these squares. And then you're going to double crochet twice. And then chain twice. And then double crochet 3 times, all into that ring that you made. 2, 3. And then you're going to continue that pattern, chaining twice, 3 double crochets, chain twice. This is your last 3 double crochets for this round. And you're going to end chaining twice and slip stitch to the top of that 3 chain we made. That counts as a double crochet. So just make sure and double check you're going into that 3rd chain you made as a slip stitch. And for round 2, you're going to chain 3 again, which counts as a double crochet. And then you're going to double crochet into the top of the stitch of the double crochets you made below, each one. So you'll have 2 double crochets there. And then you're in that chain 2 space from the row below, we're going to double crochet twice, chain twice, and then double crochet twice again, all in that same space. So 1 double crochet, 2, chain 2, 2, and then 2 more double crochets. And then you can see the 3 from the row below, and you're going to double crochet in each one, just at the top like we did before. 2, 3, and then again we're going to have 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets. And that pattern will continue until we get to the end of this round. And then once you get to the end, which you should have 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets, and then come back to that chain 3 start, you're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 again. So that's basically the pattern for the whole bread section. And I'm going to continue until I get to 8 rows, but if you want something smaller, you can stop at a lower number of rows. If you want something a bit larger, you can continue on until your desired size. So I'll just take you through this first part again. Just going to double crochet in each of the top of the double crochets from below. And then double crochet twice, chain 2, and double crochet twice more. Double crochet twice more into that chain 2 space. And then continue on until you get to your desired size. As you come to the end of your 8th row, you're just going to do your last few double crochets, slip stitch into the top of your chain 3 from the round, and then you're just going to fasten off and cut. For this one, you don't need too long of a tail, just enough to weave it in or tie it, whichever you prefer. And there's our bread, and you're going to make 2 total of these that are matching. So once you've finished 2 of these squares, we're going to work on what is the crust part of the bag, and this part will also be what is the width of your bag in between these 2 squares. So to figure out how long you need to make it, you have to decide which is the top of your bag. So for me, I'm gonna keep where I started the round. You can see kind of the little bit of the bigger hole right here. That's gonna be the bottom, and where I fastened off, that's gonna be the bottom of my bag, which means this side is the top of my bag. So from there, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3 sides that are covered by the edge, which is this brown color, and I'm using Loops and Threads Soft Classic in the color Mocha. So to count your number, you're going to go to one of the corners, your chain twos, and you're going to start at only one of them. Okay, so basically halfway through that corner space. So count 1 chain, and then all of your double crochets, 2 chains, all of these double crochets, including your chain in the center where you started the rounds, 2 more chains, all of these double crochets, and then 1 more chain on that last side. So if you're following along with how many I have, which is 8 rows, if you're following along with how many I've done, you will have 98 stitches along 3 sides. And of course, if you wanted the opening to be a little bit smaller, hi sneakers. So you can add extra stitches to make the opening smaller if you choose to do that as well. And again, for ours, it's going to be 98 stitches. So to start out, we're just going to slip knot. Move that a bit out of the way. Now the cat's gone. Just 98 chains. After double checking my count, I have 98 chains. And then I'm going to do mine in half double crochets, which will create a bit of a thicker bottom for the back of your bag compared to the double crochets that we did for the squares. So you're going to chain 1 extra that does not count as a stitch, and then you're just going to half double crochet in each stitch, or if you turn your chain, you can see the back loop of your chain, and I'm personally going to be half double crocheting into that back loop. I don't know if you guys can see the kind of bump in the back. That's where I'm going to be going, but you do not have to do that at all. So and you're just going to half double crochet your way down, and I'm going into the back because when we add it to the bag, we're going to be crocheting it on instead of sewing it, and I think it makes it a bit easier at that step compared to if you just go through it. But either way is totally fine, whatever is easiest for you. You get to the end of this row, you're going to chain 1 and turn and do the exact same thing going back. And that chain, you're going to do it at the end of every row before turning. and it's never going to count. So when you do that half double crochet now, it's going to go directly below into the last, and it's just one in every single stitch. A bit easier now that I'm not going into the back loop, but it'll just be straight into there the whole way down, and you'll repeat that until you get to a desired width for your bag. For the width of my bag, I decided to end a little bit earlier than planned, so I only ended up doing 5 rows for just under 5 centimeters. The next thing I'm going to show you guys how to do is the topping appliques. Here, let me flip this. That's the way I had it before, I think. Where this is the bottom, this is the top. I already have 3 of these made with pretty long tails, because you can just use the tails to sew it on. But the idea is once they're on, if the tails don't stay tangled, they'll look kind of like that. And you just make these triangles and then sew them on. I'll be showing you how to make one, but I want to note that some of these have different ending stitch amounts. So these two and go from 3 stitches to 19 stitches, and this one goes from 3 stitches to 17 stitches, this brown one, because if I were to go all the way up to 19 stitches, it would be too big. So as you're going through, especially if you're using scrap yarn for these toppings, you might notice that some of them match up better if you don't do the exact same amount of stitches, which is more important than having the same amount of stitches. Okay, there we go. You're going to start off and you're going to chain 3. So you have 3, you're going to chain a 4th one, but that does not count as a stitch. So then you're going to half double crochet into each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and turn your work. And then now you're going to half double crochet 2 into that first stitch. So 1, 2, half double crochet only once into the middle stitch, 3, and half double crochet 2 more times into the final stitch. So 4, 5, and that's just an increase in the first and last stitch in the pattern as you go up. So I'll show again. Chain 1, which does not count, and turn your work. Half double crochet twice into the first stitch, 1, 2, and now you're going to have 3 middle stitches. So you're going to half double crochet once into all of them. So 3 total, 4, 5, and then half double crochet increase into the last stitch. 6, 7 total. So you'll just be increasing the number of stitches in each row by a total of 2, 1 on either side, as you go up. And you might notice it kind of curls in. I've had this happen, but when you sew it down, it will look a bit neater, a bit cleaner. For this one, I ended up doing 19 stitches, but as long as you just follow the pattern, it should fit. And for this specific one, this will end up being the top. So when I sew it down, I won't be doing the top layer or the top edge, just so that I can make it an external pocket that I can use. And for the tail, you want to leave about double the edge-ish. Doesn't have to be too exact. I have a knot, so I'm going to cut before that and just cut it off so I don't have to have that on my yarn anymore. And I believe I forgot to say, but this yarn is the Red Heart Carrot color. But the rest of mine were just actual scrap balls, so I'm not sure. The last thing I'm going to show you guys how to make is the strap, and then after we finish that, I'll show you guys how I put everything together. The strap's pretty easy, but it's definitely the most tedious part. So you're just going to start with a slip knot on your hook, and then chain to your desired width. I'm just going to be doing 5. You back off. I'm just going to be doing 5 and then chain 1 more. For my straps, I like to do single crochets, but you can do half double crochets for them as well. So once you do your extra chain, which does not count as a stitch, you're just going to single crochet in each stitch going down. And then chain 1, turn your work, and single crochet your way back across. And that's basically it. You're just going to go doing that on and on until you get to whatever your personal desired length is. So over the shoulder or messenger bag, you can just take a break and hold it up to your body and see if you like how long it is. That's all that there is for this main part, and when I finish my strap, I'll show you guys what I add to prevent it from stretching out as much. made your strap to your desired length, before fastening off, if you want to prevent it from stretching out as you use it, you can, starting at the corner you left off, you can just slip stitch all the way down on all four sides. So you're gonna go all down the length of it, over this edge, and back up the length of it before coming back to basically where you started. So pretty simple, just slip stitch as you go. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but it'll make it a bit tighter to prevent that stretching. Start sewing things together, I highly recommend you start with the toppings first on one side of your bread. My first bag, I did them as the very last thing, and it was so difficult, but it's where you have, this tail is pretty long. It does not need to be that long probably for you, but you're just going to take your tapestry needle, and the one I'm going to demonstrate for you is going to be my top square. So this is the opening for my bag, and so I'm going to also leave the top edge of this open to make a little external pocket that I can use. So to sew it together, it's pretty easy. You're just going to follow along where your stitches are, and I just go in one of the loops that's close by to where I want it to sit, and you kind of just go around and around. You can kind of adjust it as you go. Also, if you had any curling as you made it, this will stretch it out and prevent it from actually looking curled, and instead it'll be flush with the square underneath. Near the end of this section, if you want to continue it on, you'll see that I showed this all the way down. Same process, just across the top. But for this one, as I said, I'm going to make a pocket. So for the first 2 or 3 stitches, I am just going to sew it down normally to kind of make it a bit more constructed of a pocket. And then for the rest of them, I'm going to just sew into the stitch and around, and just not go through the bread part of the square. And the reason I'm doing this is because it makes this edge a little bit thicker, a little bit tougher, and I think it just helps with the integrity of the pocket. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to add on the width of the bag we made. So this is my strap, and this is like the bottom of the bag. So you're just going to take the color of your crust, slip knot, and then we're going to be single crocheting this on instead of sewing it on. I think it looks a bit more bread-like. So to do that, I'm right-handed, gotta start on this side. But you can pick either side. You're going to take your hook, and when you start going in, you'll see whatever corner it says at the top, so I'll go to the left corner, and there's my chain 2 space. I'm going to start at one of those chains and then work my way across every time, but I'm going to go into the actual chain itself instead of just the space. So you go into the little V of the chain, and then let's start at this end. You'll go into the top of one of your half double crochets from before, and then you'll take that slip knot we made, tighten that onto your hook and pull it through. Chain 1, and then in each, you can go over that tail as you combine them, but then you're going to go into 1 stitch each as you work your way down, and single crochet into both of them. So I'm tucking that tail in so I won't have to weave it in at the end, because that's super annoying. Kind of hard to see, but so you'll see that it kind of creates this extra ridge on the edge of what will be your bread, which I think makes it look a bit more like crust. Once you get to the end of that third side, you're going to not fasten off and continue just single crocheting atop the next row. And now that I've finished these 3, you can kind of see, maybe, you can see what I meant by going through the top of the chains instead of just the chain space. It kind of helps build out that corner a little bit. But you're just going to single crochet across, and again I'm going to go into the chain space, or into the top of the chain, just like that, and I'm also going to crochet over this end right here. Once you get to this end, that's the stitch you started on, that first chain, you're going to single crochet into the same space and then slip stitch to the part that you started, and then fasten off. And then I'm going to show you how to put on the strap. So you'll do the exact same thing on the other side, but I'm just going to show you the strap right now. You can do this in any order that suits you. So you'll need a tapestry needle and a length of yarn to sew on. That's the same color as your crust, even if you're doing a different color for the strap, but mine are obviously the same. So for mine, you can weave in that end when we're done. I like to overlap it a little bit here, just so it kind of has that integrity, And I'm going to start in one of the corners. I'm going to move it up a little bit. That looks good to me. And just back and forth. I've just finished up sewing on the rest of my strap and the back side of my bag. As you can see, this is the original I made, and this is the one I've just made on camera. I haven't blocked this one yet. As I said, there's a written pattern that will be in the description on my Ravelry. There's also a written pattern on my Ravelry for this little star keychain, and soon there will be one up for my sweater keychain as well. There will also be music credits in the description for the music that I use throughout this video. And if you have any questions or anything confusing you, feel free to put that in the comments and I will answer you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. There will be more videos to come soon.